Hey guys, new video here. I want to talk a little bit about like Atlas strategy, temple strategy, incursion strategy, and just like overall what I think about these rooms, Atlas, stuff like that. So first we'll talk about like the most pressing stuff, which is the challenge league. People are always asking, hey, should I full clear my temple? Should I not full clear my temple? Things like that. And from watching other people do it, from what I've gathered on Reddit and what people told me is that your temple level will be the average of your incursions, and then they will add 4 levels, but then it cannot go above the highest level that you've incursion that you've done. So if you do like all tier 10s, right, then you'll have it'll be added 4, but once again you can't do higher than the tier 10s because that's the maximum, so it's just be a tier 10 temple. Now if you do let's say you do 10 tier 10s and let's say you do 10 tier 10s and then your last one you do a tier 14 or a 15 or a 16, then it'll take the average of that and it'll add 4, and once again can't be higher than the highest level room that you've done. Okay, so that's like the basic rules. And so one strategy is if you want to push higher maps, what you can do is you can make sure that the last map you run is like a super high one, or as high as like the average +4 will go, and that way you can maybe drop some higher tier maps and things like that, because there's no quantity on the temple, or very rare. Like there's like quantity that you can get from the rooms and stuff, but it's, from my experience, I've done a lot of temples already, okay, and it's complete garbage. Running a temple most of the time, unless it's a tier 3 room or like a tier 2 with like vaults or like other things like that, it just doesn't feel that great. And although the league is amazingly fun, don't get me wrong, just the temple itself, lots of the time it feels very lackluster, and I feel like I'd rather be doing maps, and I'd rather be doing the incursions, and especially the incursions with Biscos, and that's a lot more fun. But we won't talk about like that right now. So also another thing is that people told me that the price of like Guardian maps and stuff are going down, like way down. So in a little while they might be super cheap, like 10 Guardian maps and stuff like that, maybe in the future. So maybe if you don't have fun doing the temple, I wouldn't even run it for like the high tier maps, but that's up to you. So now I'll give you my opinions based on what I've done. I'll go through the rooms, tell you which ones I think are good. I'll tell you which ones I think are complete trash, and just some stuff in terms of the incursions overall. So we'll just go on this list. This is from the wiki. I'll post this link hopefully in the description below so you guys can see it. And so basically these rooms, they all have like 3 tiers, and they give different things at the different tiers. So the guardhouse, pretty common, I'd say. Monster pack size, which is okay, but it's surprisingly the guardhouse, I feel like I get it a lot. And the monster pack size, even if it's like 30%, I don't really notice it in the temple. I don't know, maybe I'm just spoiled from maps, maybe I'm just spoiled from incursions, but it doesn't feel that rewarding. But if it's versus this and some trash like poisonous plants or maybe like augmenting stuff, maybe you choose this one to get a little bit pack size, especially if you have like a good temple where you might be clearing almost the entire thing, or you have some juicy rooms at the top that you need to like path through a lot of rooms to get to. Then this is pretty damn good. Workshop, this is just like quantity, and I mean the quantity is pretty darn low already, so like adding 15%, I haven't really felt the benefit of this. I mean, sure, it's better than a lot of the other trash that's in here, but and I mean it's pretty common room too, so I mean like a little bit of quantity is better than nothing. So because I'm guessing that this affects the map drops as well. If you're doing higher tier maps, then maybe this is pretty good. Explosives rooms. Now, at first I thought this was pretty good because you can just you can blow open doors. Like you don't have to backtrack. It might save you 1, 2, or 3 respectively, depending on your tier of the room. But then as I play more, I've realized that it's not really necessary. You almost can always get to the architect if you just look at the map before you do the incursion, and especially if it's the 2 rooms below the omni. Sorry, not architect. The 2 rooms below the right below the omnitect, like directly below the apex. Just look at the room and then go unlock that, because you always get 1 stone. So you can always unlock that if you get one of those rooms, and it's very common to get at least one of those 2 rooms. So explosives for noobs, I would say, is very good, but if you've done a lot of temples, you'll quickly realize you don't need these. And I'll go into detail about clearing incursions too, which I think is the best method and like the cleanest, most clear, like carefree method later on. I made a quick paint drawing that I'll show you guys. Okay. So this is, like I said, if you're a new player, maybe get this so that if you mess up or really want to get to a room, you can do this, right? And then over here we have a Splinter Research Lab. Now everyone likes breaches. Tier 1, you get 2 hands that are in each corner of the room, and you open them, you get 2, 3, 4 splinters. Sometimes really get Chayubis too, which is okay. So I'd say, this is a pretty good room in itself. You might path through here. If you upgrade to 1, you get this room gives you one breach hand, and although breaches got nerfed and there's no quantity really in the temple, a little bit iffy, but still very fun. You'll still notice that it's more drops than it might even be more drops than like the rest of the temple combined. Okay, so it's still okay. Breach hands are, although noticeably nerfed overall in this league, breach hands are still okay. House of the Others, it gives you 3 breach hands, which is pretty good because you get a chance of Chayubi. Chayubi splinters are worth a lot, really nice to get, and takes a little bit longer, right? Because you gotta sit through 3 breaches, but definitely worth it. So get a House of the Others if you can. I'd say almost always you upgrade this over other things, unless it's maybe like a currency room or something, right? And we'll talk about that next. Oh look, I didn't even know that it was right here. So it's the next one. So the vault, the treasure and the wealth of the whale. This is probably my favorite room, just because I like Arcanist boxes. Like if I really think about it, what boxes do I like the most? Diviner's boxes, and I like Arcanist boxes, right? And so the vault gives you 1. The treasure I think gives you I think it's like between 2 and 3 maybe, and then wealth of the veil is like significantly more. Okay, so when you open these, it's really fun. You can get all kinds of cool stuff there. I think you can get like div cards, you can get stacks of currency, you can get like Harbinger orbs, I think. It's really cool. And so opening those Arcanist boxes without having to roll them especially is really good. So this is like my best of the best, right? If you have like the S tier rooms, right, I would say it's the vault, because it's like so reliable, so nice, no chance of bricking an item or anything, so that's pretty good. Splinter Research House of Others is also like really good. Okay, Sparring Room, weapons. Now you can't get the div cards things in here. You can get like I think sometimes you can get like corrupted stuff. It's okay. I would usually like skip this room, but usually when you have to pick between this and something else, it like doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna go with that and the armor as well. Weapons and armor. If you like sometimes getting those div cards, yeah, fine, go for it. But nothing too impressive that I've ever seen out of these. Now I will say the chests in these rooms look really cool because like the armor's one, it has like the wall thingy, like kind of from The Price is Right, like the giant wheel. You like spin it and then it comes spilling out. So aesthetically nice, but nothing too impressive here. If you don't get this to tier 3, tier 2, you're not missing out on much. Don't worry about it. Jeweler's Workshop, really nice. If you have like a dump tab strategy going on, or you just set like collecting all the jewelry and then listing it in bulk, or you do an unideed chaos recipe, as always, you knew that like that jewelry is what holds back your unideed chaos recipe, so you can try that out. And the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 all pretty good. Just pick up everything, and they're 1 slot items, so very easy to pick them all up without hindering like your progression in the temple too much. Surveyors, I really like this one, just because once you get an shaped atlas strategy, especially if you're doing like a higher tiers of maps, like it just feels really nice dropping maps, right? When you hear all those sounds and you see all the map that you love running over and over and over again. So I would say like, although if you have a shaped atlas strategy, you cannot run out of maps, right? Everyone knows that shaped atlas strategy with the min-max atlas, you're not going to run out of maps anytime soon. But this is just a little bonus. So like psychologically, I really like this room, even though it's not like, monetarily, it's not the best. Okay, Gem Cutter's Workshop. Okay, so this is pretty cool. The first and second levels I don't really care about because my filters out everything but like 20% quality gems because they're essentially a GCP. But the Doriani's Institute. Now here's something we can talk about here. Doriani's Institute, from people that I trust, they have told me that it is a random corrupt. What I mean by that is like, let's say you put in a level 120 arc. You could, from what I've heard, get a 2120 vol arc. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Like, and people that I trust in this game have told me and showed me that this is what happens. It doesn't have to be. I initially thought that this corrupted your gem twice. It shows 2 corruptions. right? +1, -1, no change. +3 quality, minus up to -10 quality. Vol version. I thought it chose 2 of those and applied it, but that is not the case. It is like pretty random, but in a big benefit. I haven't heard anyone getting like a 2020 into like a level 1 10%. Okay, so it's unsure what the exact mechanics are, but it is very random and it can have good effects, notably enlighten, empower, maybe even enhance. If you want, you put in a level 1. What if you can get a level 4, right? Haven't seen it happen yet, but it could happen. So very nice room right here if you can. I've gotten 2 or 3 of these already, like rare but not unfairly rare, okay, like some other stuff in previous leagues. Sacrificial Chamber, this is at Zubi. And the reason I don't really like this, oh, I'm sorry, I thought this was the meeting rooms. Never mind. Okay, this is good. Sacrificial Chamber converts an item into like just randomly any other ones. Complete trash. Probably won't get anything good. I mean, sure, you could get like maybe get a Shavs, maybe get Combs, maybe a Biscos, whatever. Hall of Offerings is also like like older items, right? So like you could get something from previous leagues. Once again, pretty rare. I mean, I've gotten like shadows and dust and stuff like that from it. And then the big boy, the Apex of Ascension, what you can do is this has 2 uses. So, well, not 2 uses, you get 1 use, but it's 2 different effects. First is you can put in a unique item and it's the same class and it can be older leagues. So for example, you put in a belt, you can get a headhunter, right? Because it always drops an item of the same class. Put in gloves, you get gloves. Put in chest, you get chest. And then another thing is, like, for example, let's say you want a Soul Ripper, the new flask, or you want a Xerfe's Heart or something. You need to put the base new unique item in, and then the corresponding vial. There'll be a small square slot right under the hole, and then you put that in there too, and then you'll get the upgraded version. So very nice room here. I just like things that let you gamble for Headhunter, so I really like this right here. Okay, next, storage room. Okay, this is also super S tier because you can just straight up drop. See, league specific uniques are available as well from the Museum of Artifacts, and from what I've seen, storage room is pretty darn common of a room, right? Maybe like obviously getting it to a tier 3 is a little bit uncommon, but this base room is super common to me. And so in this Museum of Artifacts, there's basically anything. You can get maps in there, you can div cards, you can get currencies. So it's just a smorgasbord of a combination of different chests, but of course old league items, so that's big. Okay, next, Corruption Chambers. So this one, everyone knows about it. We don't need to talk too much about this. This is like your, what the hell? I'm offline. I'm not even streaming right now. All right. Thanks, Roman, for the subscription while I'm offline. Okay, cool. So this item right here, this shrine right here, everyone knows about this. You put in something, you can, yeah, look, it actually lists, wow, I didn't know it listed all this stuff right here. Okay, changes all sockets to white, right? 2 vol mods, like I'm sure you've seen the highlights on Reddit. You can get like super high level gems, you can get like +1 max res and other stuff. It's just like all kinds of good stuff on your item, but it could destroy the item, which kind of sucks, right? And it'll also make it a rare item. I think it's like a Shaper or Elder base. So I didn't even know they can transform into a Shadow Stitch. That's pretty cool. Okay, nice. If a body armor is used. So I mean, it's fun to gamble with this. I can see myself, if I go low life Righteous Fire later, I can see myself going for like 6-link Shavs in here. That could be a very nice thing to do, and you can get some juicy corruptions there, right? Downside isn't really that bad. You can just pretend like it's a minus max map or something, right? So this is a fun room for sure. Other things, if you want to be less gambly, you can put in unique items that sell really well if they get a good corrupt, but are very cheap to attain naturally. Sadimas, Crimp Sorrows, Thunder Fist, like these like kind of trash items they can buy for a couple C. Just throw them in there. You get like, imagine on your gloves you got Frenzy and I don't know, Life, or Frenzy, 10% attack speed, right? Like things like this, it'll make it like Exalt Plus. So you can try that out. No risk to you if you don't want to do the big like 6-link chests and stuff. Okay, Shrine of Empowerment. This one's pretty rare, actually. So Shrine of Empowerment, it's best to get in one of the middle 3 triangle rooms, because then it'll make all adjacent things, like actually all adjacent things, +1 instead of being on the side where you might miss some rooms. But yeah, this is pretty good. The downside is like barely noticeable because you'll always like kill monsters in one hit anyways. So this is just a big buff to the rooms if you can get it. If you get like a tier 2 one, it obviously doesn't do anything, so that's the downside. Tempest Generator, pretty common room as well. Corrupting Radiant Tempest at tier 3 is good, right? You can fish for, if you want to like waste a little bit more time, you can fish for those tempests and maybe get some better yield out of your temples. But overall, I think like the temples, like the quantity is not that great, okay, overall. So as exciting as it is, it's not that great. Poison Garden, so let's talk about these adds things to the temple itself, like traps, poisons, and then augmenting the Omnitech, like all the ones down here, right? Lightning, minions, fire, all that stuff. I feel like these pools which heal them for 4, 6, 8% max life per second, the things that affect the temple, I don't feel they give a good enough reward until we find out specifically which one drops which. So the two most valuable vials right now, right, are the Xerxes Heart Vial and the Soul Ripper Vial, which is Vial of the Ghost. I believe it varies between 5 and 7, 5 and 8 exalts depending on the time of the day, right, for the Vial of Ghost. And then for the Xerxes Heart Amulet Vial, I think that's a little bit higher on the exalts as well. So once we figure out exactly which one of these augments makes it so that the Omnitech drops those vials, or if you even need any of these augments to drop those vials, it's a little bit iffy, right? You just like, you can upgrade them if you want. If you don't, it's not a big deal, right? Because the chance of getting them is so rare. So I just don't know enough about the exact properties that cause vials, specific vials to drop, to make a comment on these. But I will say that with most single target builds or most single target setups, like no matter what you augment the Omnitech with or the map with in terms of monsters, it's not a challenge anyways. You're going to insta-phase the Omnitech, you're going to kill all the monsters in one hit, so not a big deal. Royal Meeting Room into Throne of Adziri gives you a normal Adzubi. I don't think that's that great, because like the drops from her aren't that valuable anyways. And I mean, I guess you could bank on a Mortal Hope, or maybe a well-rolled Dorianis is still quite expensive at this point, but I just don't think the reward is there. So that's just me though. If you like doing Adzubi, go ahead and be my guest. Okay, now for a strategy of the rooms. I drew this picture here. This is a incursion when you encounter Alba Valai in the wild. And okay, sorry, I was looking at something. I thought my mic was muted the whole time, but it's not. Okay, so this is an incursion room right here, and the reds are obviously the stones, and blue is like the walls. So what my strategy is always now, because going like upwards from here, I'll just show you like this, right? I'll show you on here first. So if you have to go like upwards, like diagonally like this, or upwards diagonally like this, right, it's super annoying because you might have to like curve back down into another room, right? So my strategy now has always been, if I'm going to do a temple, right, and there's rooms I enjoy on whatever floor, I will go left to right, or right to left all the way. You see that? So like, you see how these on the second floor, every single one of these is connected right here, right? And then on the third floor, you see how like all these three are connected left to right, and then same with same with this one, but not right. I mean, this doesn't really help. But the reason is it's much easier to go on the map from left to right, because there's always only one opening on the left to right, or right to left, once again one opening, than it is to go up and down. So what you want to do probably is this is just my opinion, but what you want to do is on these, let's say you start on the bottom floor, on these rooms, right, you don't have side areas over here, but you'll have one right here, and on the sparring room, you'll have like an opening right here. You always want to connect left to right, and then if you're on an end room, you might want to connect upwards if you can, because then it will allow you to do an unbroken chain. For example, sparring room, entrance, or I guess you start at entrance. So entrance, explosives rooms, banquet hall, all the way to the right, then go up into the tombs, all the way to the left, go upwards into engineering department, all the way to right. It's much easier to remember. You don't have to remember to backtrack for it. And luckily on the incursion room, it's always going to be, let me change the color here to like green or something. It's always going to be these end rooms right here. Okay, so I would say first, unless it is a a room that's right below the apex and you really want to kill the boss, right? Because then you'll always unlock like one of these right here for the under the apex room. But if it's any other room, I highly recommend first checking for these right here, these side rooms, okay? This one and this one, because you remember you always get one stone, and maybe some of them will be green already, but like you always get one stone, you could get two. So by connecting these the rooms, which will always be left to right, you are making it much easier to remember a pathing through the temple that basically hits everything, and you don't have to remember to go backwards if there's an important room. Okay, if that makes any sense. Once again, this is just me. I might be being kind of weird about it, but I believe this is the way to go. And then if it's an end room, once again, yeah, I'll just show you. If it's an end room, banquet hall, Department of Thaumaturgy, Tempest Generator, Tombs, right? Then if it's an end room, you might want to connect into the adjacent room here. Okay, like this way, because then see, go all the way across, go up, all the way across, go up, all the way across, go up, and then you could pretty much full clear it. And charging side to side, I guarantee you, is much easier than trying to go up and down. Okay, so once again, if you're on an end room, then maybe if you're on an end room, look for these. Okay, but otherwise side room's probably the most important. That's just me. That's my thoughts on it. Incursion's pretty darn fun. I like it a lot. All right, if you have any questions, you can ask. Bye.